Hi everyone, this is the first video of our new outline data visualization. Let's see the agenda of today's lecture. First of all, we will see what is data visualization. Then we will see what is ggplot2. Then we will see what is the grammar of graphics. In the last, we will learn about what is geom smooth. So let's move forward. What is actually data visualization? The method of delivering data insights through the use of visual signals like graphs, charts, maps, and many more is known as data visualization. This is helpful because it facilitates intuitive and simple understanding of the vast amounts of data, allowing for better decision making. R is a language intended for scientific research, graphical data analysis, and statistical computing. It is typically chosen for data visualization since it provides flexibility and requires little coding thanks to its packages. So what is ggplot2? An R package called ggplot2 is used to create statistical R data visuals. This package is also known as Grammar of Graphics and is cost-free, open source, and simple to use. You give ggplot2 the data, instructed on how to map variables to aesthetics and what graphical primitives to employ, and it handles the rest. You can design unique visuals that are customized to your particular challenge rather than being constrained to collection of predefined graphics. You can accomplish more with ggplot2 by knowing one system and using it in numerous contexts. So, how ggplot2 is used? Because ggplot2 represents a sophisticated visualization methodology, it is challenging to summarize how it operates. The majority of time, though you being with ggplot provide a dataset and add aesthetic mapping, then you add scales, lays, faceting requirements, and coordinate systems. So, what is grammar of graphics? The data that you wish to depict, and a mapping which describes how the variables in the data are mapped to aesthetic qualities make up every plot. The language of graphics for describing and creating graphs is implemented by ggplot2. Building blocks of lays with the following graphic grammar are available. The first one is data. The data itself is the element. We specify the information's source in the data layer before it is visualized. Next, we have aesthetics. An aesthetic is a feature of your plot's object's visual appearance. Things like the size, shape, or color of your points are examples of aesthetics. Data variables are mapped to the aesthetic or visual characteristics of geoms in aesthetic mappings. Aesthetic mappings may be set in both lays and ggplot. We will show and map the dataset into specific aesthetics in the aesthetic layer. Each aesthetic mapping required by a layer is collected by the aesthetic function, which then gives them to the layer's mapping parameter. Scales convert data space values into aesthetic space values. This covers the application of color, form, and size. The aesthetic parameters of your geom can also be manually customized. You will have to choose a level that fits that aesthetic, such as a character string representing a color's name, a point size in millimeters, a point swarm represented by a number. Next, we have layer. Statistical changes and geometrical elements are combined to generate layers. The plot's real points, lines, polygons, and other shapes are represented by geometric elements, or geoms for short. Then we have geometrics. The geometrical object that a plot implies to represent data is called a geom. Plots are frequently described in terms of the geom type that they employ. Each plot represents the data with a unique visual element. Control the key components of the geometric layer by changing the geom in geom function to observe how our data is presented using the point, line, histogram, bar, and box plot. Furthermore, a ggplot2's geom function accepts a mapping argument. Next, we have statistics. In the statistic layer, we use binning, smoothing, descriptive, and intermediate to change our data. Then we have facets. With the aid of columns and rows, the subset of the data is displayed. Facet layer is used to divide the dataset into smaller subsets, and it enables the visualization of the smaller subplots on the same plot, which is essentially helpful for categorical variables. This is sometimes referred to as conditioning or trellising. Facet plot function converts a series of 1D panels into a 2D wrapper. Due to the fact that most displays are roughly rectangular, this generally makes better use of available screen space than facet grid function. Facet wrap expects you to give it a single variable. Add facet grid to your plot in order to facet your plot on the intersection of two variables. Next, we have coordinates. Coordinate layer map data coordinates to the graphics stated plane, and we can modify the axis and the spacing of the displayed data by adjusting the plot size. The Cartesian coordinate system is the default coordinate system where each point's location is determined independently by its x and y locations. There are several more coordinate systems that can be useful on occasion. If you want to change the display of geometrics and statistics, such as to switch x and y axes, then you can do it by using coordinate flip function. Long labels can also benefit from it because they are challenging to fit on x-axis without overlapping, such as box plots. In the last, we have themes. The finer details of the display, such as the font size and background color, are managed by this theme layer. Although the defaults in ggplot2 have been carefully selected, you might need to look at additional sources to make a visually appealing plot. You don't have to worry about these building blocks of grammar of graphics because we will study about each of them and see how we can use them in the next videos. So, how to create a ggplot? In order to add components to the plot, ggplot is typically always used after creating the original plot object. Methods. There are three typical methods for using ggplot. In the first one, you can see you just create a ggplot object. In the next, you create a ggplot function and also pass the data. In the last one, you can see it's a complete ggplot function where you also pass the geom function, mapping, coordinate function, facet function, and themes. Let's move forward. So in today's lecture, we will study about geom smooth. It helps the eye see patterns when there is overplotting due to the fact that they both take the identical arguments. Geom smooth and stat smooth are essentially aliases. If you want to display the results with a non-standard geom, use stat smooth. So the syntax is in front of you. You just use the geom smooth keyword, pass the data frame, then the method, formula, na.rm, and some parameters. Now let's do some practical work in our studio. Well, first of all, I will set my working directory, data science T, data science R. All right. So you can see here that as the working directory has been set up, now I will read the CSV file, which is with the name of memsleep, I will use the read.csv function, and here I'll say msleep.csv, and here I say head msleep. Now you can see the head of your dataset right here. Now, for instance, I want to make a plot between body weight and brain weight. So first of all, I will load the library ggplot2. Let's run it. All right, the library has been loaded. And now here I will say create a ggplot function. And here I pass my data frame at first, which is msleep. And here I create the aesthetic. I add the mapping, and I say that plot the body weight on x-axis and brain weight on y-axis. And here I say geom smooth. All right. Now let's run it. So you can see here that this is your plot. This is the body weight and this is the brain weight. Now, for instance, this time I want to create a plot between body weight and awake. So I will say aesthetic and take the body weight on x-axis and awake on y-axis. And here I say geom smooth. Now here I will use a parameter na.rm equals to true in order to forcefully ignore the missing values. So here is the plot in front of you. You can see here that the awake value has been increased between 2000 and 3000. Now, for instance, I want to see the values between only 1000 and 4000. So in order to do that, between body weight and awake, I will use one more function, which is scale x continuous. And here I use the parameter limits equals to combine, and inside the combine function, I say that give me the values between 1000 and 4000. All right, let's run it. So this time you can see the values between only 1000 and 4000. You don't see the points here because I haven't used the geom point. We will study about that in the next video, so don't worry. All right, let's move forward. Now, for instance, I create another ggplot. I pass the data frame, and here I pass the static mapping, and I say that take the sleep total on x-axis and sleep remain on y-axis. And here I create another function, which is geom smooth. I pass the parameter of na.rm as true. All right, let's run it. So you can see here that if the sleep total increase, sleep remain is also increasing. So this is a positive correlation between these two variables. Now, what if I want to change the orientation or the direction of it? In order to do that, I will use another parameter of orientation, and here I will say y. Let's see. Now you can see here that the orientation has been changed for the variables, but the axis is still the same. So in order to solve this thing, you can do one thing here, which is saying coordinate flip. All right. So this time you can see that sleep REM is on the x-axis and sleep total is on the y-axis. So that is how you can change the orientation of your plots. Now, I will do one more thing here to make my plot more interesting. I will use the function of labs, and here I say title equals to, and I pass the title that plot between total sleep and remaining sleep. And I pass the caption equals to figure 1. Let's run it. This time you can see the title and the caption right here in the bottom right. So this actually makes your plot look more good. Now, what if I want to see more plots according to a category? So I will say that take this ggplot function, and then I have passed the data frame and mapping as usual. And then here I have used the geom_smooth function, and I'm creating a plot between sleep total and sleep REM. And here I say facet wrap, and I pass var here. Let's see. So you can see the values according to each of the var. Sleep total is on the x-axis and sleep REM is on the y-axis. So that is one of the beautiful way to make a plot when you want to involve the numerical and categorical variables. You can see here that in the insectivores, the sleep total is starting from 10 to 15, and in the omnivores, it starts from 7 and goes to 18. So that is how you can use the function of geom_smooth. Let's move back to slides. So today you have learned how to use the grammar of graphics and how you can make a plot. I have got some homework for you. Here I have placed the link of the dataset. All right. So here I have a few tasks for you. You have to try different grammar of graphics on geom_smooth, such as you can change the orientation and you can use the facet wrap or facet grid function, and you can pass different parameters. Now, good luck. See you next time.